And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Side Hustle Podcast, right here across all of our audio and video platforms. And of course, we're brought to you by our fine folks at BA Sweeties, that giant lollipop. You see it on Brook Park Road, right off of 480 Ridge Road. Take a left on Brook Park Road. You see it right there. Also, Mike from State Farm for helping us out. Make sure you get your insurance all taken care of with Mike from State Farm, right on the corner of Lee Boulevard, and Mayfield Road in Cleveland Heights. Double A Anthony Alfred here in studio, broadcasting remotely from home, from his new home, Kyle Cornell. And Kyle, you're shaking your head now. Are
Yeah,
you?
not exactly what I thought about, like breaking things in Double A. This is not what I was going for, but yeah, the back sucks. Uh, is what it is. I just don't want to miss a show. Wanted to be here. I know we did this. The only other time I've been remote was when I was in Hawaii. I'd rather be there, but nevertheless, we're still here. We're still kicking, bud.
So the great thing, I would like to say the backstory behind you being at home is that because you really love your new place, you really love it. You really wanted to break into your home place. You got the internet all set up, ready to go. You have outlets every 3 feet in that home. You really wanted to break it in, but no, it was what happened to you at the gym a week ago with your back.
Yeah. So not obviously this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, just running normal routine for the gym, and pulled my back out, which it happens every once in a while. It's fine. Last week was a bit of a struggle. You guys saw on the podcast last week I was a little tight, but still managed to get there. I could still move. It just took some time to get there and all that stuff. Then Double A helps me move on Saturday into this new place. Really excited. Love to see it. It's honestly, it's a great place. I wish I could have been able to enjoy it a little more before what happened next. But went to see the chiropractor again on Monday, kind of like one of the final like visits to just finish everything up, stretch things out, see where we are. And he pushes a little bit too far on my left leg back in one of our stretches, and I feel another kind of like jolt in my hip. Um, I got home Monday night, put together the couch I'm sitting on right now, which is fantastic. But on the other side of things, really started to feel a lot of pain and numbness down my leg,
Oh
into
boy.
my calf, into my thigh, back of my thigh. Come Tuesday evening, I can't walk. I actually got to the top of my stairs and collapsed in the apartment. So your boy is on a lot of steroids right now and muscle relaxers, and I may or may not throw an alcoholic beverage in there too. But nevertheless, we're here to do this show because let's be honest, we've heard Double A talk for long periods of time, and at some point he needs a break. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I'm here.
Well,
At the end of the day.
thank you. And we have some treats. See, because you're at home, you're gonna miss out on some treats that I brought in. Kyle and I, we were actually at
Oh
BA
yeah, by the way,
Sweeties.
fuck you by the way for that. I appreciate it.
Kyle and I, we actually met with Tom at BA Sweeties. We'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But a lot of great treats that we have here in the studios that myself and Pete are enjoying. And Kyle cannot because he is at home. But we'll tell you about that in a few moments. Speaking of which, let's talk about our sweet moment of the week, brought to you by the fine folks at BA Sweeties. And look, listen, I think this man, I think this man might be the leader in most amount of sweet moments we have had so far. And Kyle and I, we talked about it. We don't care that we're doing this for the second week in a row because it was that freaking good. And it's Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, everything that happened on Monday night, everything that those two did from the grabbing the ropes, no turnbuckles, to the fight away from the ring, to the backstage, everything about what these two did was absolutely phenomenal, Kyle.
Really was. I mean, that's something where I think Bronson Reed might be tied now with Jacob Fatu for the most sweet moment of the week. They're kind of both going neck and neck all the way up, but there's nothing. He doesn't have a bad segment anymore. He doesn't have a bad match. we talked about the only thing maybe that is going to expose him a little bit is when Seth comes back, Seth Rollins, and then how does he respond to having to do a mic battle with Seth and that kind of thing? Because we know Seth's over and he can talk and all that stuff. So, but I mean, as far as being built as I told you, it's so similar to Braun Strowman in 2016. It's only kind of poetic justice that 8 years later, it's Braun putting this guy over essentially and putting him in that spot, so to speak. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's two giant guys that are just going out there and just killing it, and their match, so to speak. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it's something that I didn't end up watching Raw this past Monday for obvious reasons, but I went back and looked at the clips and just watched some of the highlights, and it's like it makes you want to watch. It makes people want to tune in to see what's going to happen next because the dude just finds new ways. Now it's going through drywall, like it's a whole thing. Like it's just insane to see what they're doing. And I mean, yeah, Bronson Reed is probably going to be on this list a few more times before it's all said and done.
I think the craziest thing, Kyle, just watching it. First of all, this is everything Vince McMahon wanted, which is two big heavyweights finally colliding and really. But it's you're 100% spot on. It's the storytelling that has gone into this. It's the physicality. We know the backstory of Braun Strowman too, but Bronson Reed. We know the story. He wants to move up on the card, and Adam Pearce was not giving him the opportunity, and he's taking the opportunity and killing the roster at the same time, and it's all bonus and stuff. And I'll say this, I mean, my criticisms earlier in the year of Braun Strowman, going way back, but he has done a phenomenal job putting this young man over. And Bronson Reed, I'll say this. I know we already have one Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. That could be the second because it is proven now, Kyle, that those two, they're going all in and out of the ring, everything like that. Those two, I mean, in a perfect world, you put them in Hell in a Cell, you add weapons inside Hell in a Cell, you really, really have that blow-off match. But honestly, for a feud that I did not believe was going to lead to deserving like a pay-per-view blow-off match, this feud, it's been my personal favorite feud over the last month. It's been really, really, really incredible, Kyle.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's been great and what they've been able to do. And I'll tell you what, I'm still getting a lot of shit for the Joe T take this past week, but he is starting to come along a little more too now. And again, it was one of those things where it sounded like a death sentence last week, and I hate to change the subject completely, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it's those moments. How does he make those moments feel impactful? And it's not a thing where the entire show he needs to be on 11. That's maybe where like someone like Mauro now got like a little bit of a feedback and a little bit of like hate because he was like always so just on, and it's always turned all the way up. Even like, oh my God, look, Natalia's walking to the ring. Like he didn't have to do
look
that.
at Natalia!
Oh my
God, look
but
at
like,
Natalia!
those moments, making those memorable, and talking about the highlight tapes and having the voice behind it. He's slowly starting to get there. I can see that, which is good. I still think he needs work, but I mean, it's his third week, so whatever. It is what it is. But when you have action like that and guys that are performing at the level you said, Double A, it gets a lot easier to call because they make it easier to call because holy shit, that just happened. So,
yeah.
And it's believable. It's not like Bronson Reed did a 630 off the top rope on the Braun Strowman through a table on the outside. No, he put his ass through drywall because he's 450 pounds and he can do that kind of shit. Like it's believable insanity versus kind of bullshit. And this is where we're at. And it's not every single match on the card. It's that guy doing it with the other big guy who we know does crazy, strong stuff. So it makes a lot of sense. It's why people are enjoying it. And it's only going to get Bronson Reed more over.
And that's the goal. The goal is to get Bronson Reed at a main event level, which the proof is going to be, can he deliver in front of the crowd on the microphone? We're not there yet, though. I think everything that he's doing to this point, everything he's been asked to do, he has knocked it out of the park. He has absolutely knocked it out of the park. He's done a great job. And that is our BA Sweeties sweet moment of the week. everything that Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman did on Monday night. Everything. It's the sweet moment of the week. Brought to you by our fine friends at BA Sweeties. And one of the treats I brought here to the studio, this right here, the glass Coke. Well, we got several pops, too. Several sodas that we brought in. I left some at home. There's some I'm going to bring next week. But one of them is the absolute... Hold up. Let me do this on the microphone, Kyle. That's real glass. Jack Perry would be proud. I'm kidding with you. But he would be proud of this Coca-Cola. Absolutely loving this. Off of BA Sweeties. And I'll tell you what, Kyle. I'm going to grab something here in a second. But if you want to tell the fine folks what you can get from BA Sweeties, including this real glass Coca-Cola. A lot of great stuff when we went to visit Tom last week at BA Sweeties.
Oh, Double A, the correct answer to that question is what can't you get at this point? I mean, all the different things they have, when it comes to even just candy in general, hey, over 180,000 different kinds of candy bars there. That's like the bar minimum. Like, hey, yeah, maybe I just want some candy. I want it sweet and simple. Well, they got it sweet and they have it more than simple. It is crazy how much they have there. Talk again about up front. Soda shop is fantastic with 30 different flavors of milkshakes. And of course, it's still warm enough. It's hot as hell in this apartment because I didn't put the AC on yet. So that means it's still time. You can go out and play putt-putt. I know it's mid-September. We're getting towards the end of the month. October's right around the corner. Halloween's almost here too. Take advantage of BA Sweetie and what they have because the list is long. We have a few different products we're going to show you over the next number of weeks. Double's got a few more in hand now too. But is honestly anything you could almost imagine at this point, whether it was your mom and dad talked about it, whether you've thought about it and haven't seen it in a while, whatever it is, chances are they probably have.
It's incredible, and it's warm enough where the putt-putt's not a problem. Like, oh, dude,
Nope.
It's 85 degrees today on September 18th. This will be out September 19th. 85 degrees. Get the putt-putt in. You're going to enjoy it. Now, I got to show you guys something in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at what you can get at BA Sweeties. Again, the giant lollipop. Again, right off Interstate 480, the Ridge Road exit. Take a right on Ridge Road or left, wherever you're coming from. Brook Park Road, make a left there. If, as Kyle says, if you hit Pearl Road or State Road, turn around. Don't drown. Get right to the giant lollipop. You'll see it, BA Sweeties, all the options, including what I'm going to try today. Now, I told Tom I am not a sour person. I'm more of a sweet person. But today, live on our show today, Kyle, I am going to try the Hauler's Shake and Spray candy here. Sounds just like this for those listening on the audio podcast. But it's a twist and chew here. So I'm going to got stuff in here. Let's see if I can. Yes, eating on the air. This is great. But no, we're not actually eating. We're spraying here. Let me try here. Let's see. Rebecca loves this stuff, by the way. So take a look here. Let's see. Oh, wow. Make sure, make sure this gets some. It hit the side of my lip there. Hold on. Let me try this again.
This is awesome watching him do this. I wish I was in person for this, honestly. This is great.
Oh, this is good. I'm not even a sour person. This is good.
Well, it depends on the day for you if you're sour or not. But no, the stuff is really good, yeah.
You should have saw me at work today. I was very sour.
You should have saw me in my bed 30 minutes ago.
But, see here. You could tear here. There's something So there's a lot of cool things like within the bottles and stuff. Like one of the treats, one of the spray bottles, you could actually there's a QR code. You can actually play music while you're consuming the candy. It's actually really cool. So a lot of cool stuff that there's a lot of things like you go to different stores and stuff, and they may have the basics, right? They may have the basic candies that you would get at the cash register or whatnot. There's a lot of exclusives that you will find at BA Sweeties, the largest candy store in North America. I had people ask me like, "Hey, when you guys show those commercials, what's actually in the boxes? Like, what's actually in there?" And this is one of them. Kyle, you might have to say some words here. 'Cause this is actually, let's shake this up here. This is actually really good. Too bad you're not in the studio today, because you could have had some of this.
He's drinking the Coke. He's taking some of the spray, which I was really looking forward to try to, which I will be next time on the studio. Pardon my words for that, guys. But this is also a reminder too. Hey, if you decide you watch the show and you're like, or you know some people, you're like, hey, we should go to BA Sweetie. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. Make sure that you tell them that we had you stop by. They love hearing that. They ask for your zip code when they check you out because they want to know what general area they're from. They know 20% of their business comes from outside over 100 miles away. So they also are just curious about the local folks too. When you guys stop by, tell them your story. Tell them you haven't been there in a while, or that you didn't know they moved because before they were a few blocks down the road, they moved to that location around, I want to say around a decade ago or a little bit less than a decade ago. So make sure you guys mention the Side Hustle Wrestling podcast when you go in to BA Sweetie to enjoy yourself, to find some great stuff, because they love hearing that too. They love hearing that, hey, people are seeing them on all sorts of different platforms, whether it's downtown during the Monsters games or whether it's on social media, on YouTube with our podcast. Awesome to know that they're reaching so many different people, and we want to be a big part of that too. Go.
Dude, my bad. Hold on. I think I can finish this.
You're having a full meal in the damn studio, and I'm over here.
I'm on a sugar high right now, man. I'm on a sugar high. This studio, it's just lighting, for the TV studios here at LPV Productions. The rest of the studio obviously is dark, so I'm just I'm consuming this.
Speaking of lighting, if you want to see something cool, Double A. So I haven't been able to put anything together the past couple of days because I haven't been able to move. But today I actually got my lamp in.
Oh, you
my
did?
Apartment.
You did?
I did. And the cool thing about it is it changes color. So if you see this.
Oh my goodness. Cal,
cool,
man.
That is the most of the, if anything, of all the furniture I've been able to put together. So that's fantastic. But nevertheless, yeah. So I get the lighting. I'm trying to set the mood in here a little bit. But yeah.
Hey, forget Club Shay Shay. It's Club Cornell over there.
Michelle's gonna be doing all the work, Double A. I'll tell you.
You gotta make sure your hips is on point. You gotta make sure you're in good shape.
No, my hips are not on point. I'll tell you that. My hips are pointing in the wrong direction.
Man, well, I'll tell you who's going in the right direction. We think. We got to talk about what happened this past Friday on Smackdown, the debut episode on USA Network, and the big story. Roman Reigns, first off, his return coming back after a few weeks off. But, Cody and Solo had their championship steel cage match. Cody wins that match. Of course, there's interference after, or confrontations after. And all of a sudden, it sets up the big Bad Blood tag team match, which will be the main event. But the big story, and again, Cody and Roman on one side, Jacob Fatu and Solo on the other side. But there's a lot to unpack here, Kyle. And let's start with Roman and Cody teaming up. First off, Kyle, at this stage of the story, is this a good move overall to have Roman and Cody team up?
I think because we know that Drew and CM Punk are going to main event the show, you can't have a singles match, I think, again for the Universal Championship or WWE Championship and have it, not be the main event. So finding a way to incorporate, and obviously with Roman and Cody too, keeping Roman near that title but not going for it's important, so that we kind of remember the end goal is for Roman to get that back. Like he knows that's the ticket to winning back his family. whether he beats Solo one-on-one, whether he faces him in a OG bloodline versus new bloodline, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 match at Survivor Series. The way to truly win back that position is to win that championship and to be on top of the company. So it's kind of like a little bit of a reminder. Like, yeah, I got beef with Solo right now. We got some things we're taking care of, but I still want that. That is still going to be the end all be all for me and for this family to be the top person in this group. And then obviously we'll tie in The Rock too at some point, I imagine, come next year, whatever it is at some point. But for now, we kind of talked about Cody too not really being in any meaningful feuds. They apparently don't want to pull the trigger on a Randy Orton feud right now, which is, I mean, that's fine, I guess, because that deserves multiple PLEs and really a chance to breathe. So if they've got other stuff going on, I guess it makes sense. But maybe they can tie that in at Bad Blood too, with now being 2-on-2 and Randy and KO saying, "Listen, you can't trust Roman. We got your back," and then who knows what can happen from there, right? But I mean, this is a thing where it gives everyone something to do. It's going to spotlight Jacob Fatu because it's going to be the first time he's going to have a match with Cody and Roman, in the ring, and we're going to see just how good he really does with that because that's going to be huge for him. Talk about his ascendance and how he seems now more than ever more important than Solo Sikoa, based on even just the interaction in the cage when Roman came through and Jacob was ironically not inside of it. He climbed out of the cage at that point and wasn't in. And then once Roman lays, the Tonga brothers and Solo out, that's when Jacob gets in, closes the door behind him. He's about ready to go crazy, and then stuff happens, right? So, I mean, it's almost as much set up for Jacob as it is for Roman and Cody, just being around each other and still being around championship, because at the end of the day, they want it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting, and we'll circle back to Roman and Cody for a second because you brought up a great point about Jacob, and I thought it was very interesting when Jacob was briefly in the ring in that steel cage facing Roman, and Roman, look, it's a big deal. We have that main event rub, like, hey, calling you out, like, I want you in the ring, I want you in that steel cage, and Roman calling out Jacob. And that was huge. And I loved little details with the booking. I loved that Jacob did not back down from the challenge. He got in the cage, and then Solo said, fuck all that, and pulled him out. I loved it because you got Kyle, you got we got the fair reaction of that face-off, which I think is obviously clear that you don't go with that match with Roman and Jacob Fatu first. You run Roman and Solo first. But you got the taste of how big that matchup would be. And Solo said, no, not right now. I love that Jacob got that spotlight in that moment, Kyle.
So honestly, just it continues to be his upward ascendance, and it feels like it's legit what they were saying, where what Cody was saying in the promo. I think it was a couple weeks ago, where it's like, yeah, you're holding back somebody, you're keeping him caged in because if you let him run, he's gonna just supersede you. And we talked about with the difference between Solo and Roman when they were running the bloodline, right? That Roman, it always felt like he was the biggest star. Even though we saw the potential with Jey, even though we saw that Solo was, kicking ass, it was like we still knew Roman was the leader. We knew Roman was the guy. He's the made man. He's the guy that's his branches of his family tree. He's the the center of it essentially. He is the actual tree itself, and they are the branches, right? In this situation, who's the tree and who's the branches? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jacob is getting pulled out of the ring by Solo because Solo doesn't want him to actually be able. Oh shit, he actually would kick the shit out of Roman Reigns. I can't look weak as a leader, so no, get out of here. Like, no, we're not doing that right now. No, only when I tell you to, because if I command you to do something, then I don't look weak. Not him goading you into doing it and then you look good. Like, that's not how. It's something that Roman did, I think, fairly early on with Jey and Jimmy and stuff like that, and even a little bit with Solo. But he would direct traffic. He wouldn't just pull him out. He'd be the one to tell him to go in, that kind of stuff. That's where Solo maybe is missing the bar a little bit. He did it one time, I think, when it was like Roman's first SmackDown back when he got hurt and he got put to the table. That's when he sent Jacob in there, and that was more of like a Roman move. But in those moments where Roman's been goading him in and telling him, "Come on, let's go," and Jacob gets in the ring, or when Cody calls out and says, "I want Jacob," as the number one contender, and he gets on the ring, and Solo has to stare at him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, it makes Solo look weak. It makes him look like he's not really the head of the table, so to speak. So,
And maybe this whole time Solo has been in storytelling, in story mode, and also in the eyes of the fans, have tried to prove himself to be the head of the table. And I love the approach. And we'll talk in depth about Solo in a few moments. I love the approach in story, in that he's trying to do everything that Roman did, but somehow, some way, he doesn't do anything as well as Roman did when he was the head of the table. Like like main event Jey Uso early on, he wanted to be the leader, and Roman's style was, you don't want these type of responsibilities, and like, just watch. He didn't really have to, he tried to explain, and then it didn't really work out, so you had to beat it out of him, that kind of deal, and he ultimately earned that respect. But you kind of see it, and I think that watching Solo, I guess the way to explain it, because one of the questions we have here, Kyle, about Solo, has his main event run been a failure? And, well, first off, what's your response to that question in general? Has his main event run been a failure?
well, what was the goal? I think was the goal to be able to give a reasonable story to get Roman back? Was the goal to be able to, like what it always seems like it's been with the Bloodline, trying to elevate all involved and see who sticks out? I mean, because he's running a group of 4 right now, so at least for now. So I mean, I don't know if it's a failure. I think as far as literal terms, he hasn't won anything. So I think that's maybe one thing you can point to. But I mean, he's not ready to be champion. So there's no real course for making a case for that it's a failure or not yet. I don't think. I think what's going to be indicative at some point is how eventually someone like The Rock gets involved and what his status is with someone like that, right? The final boss, right? Because that character is not going away. He's coming back as that. So it's going to be, is the final boss backing Solo or is he backing Roman now? Is he still upset with Roman for losing the championship and he's willing to forgive Solo for his shortcomings because he didn't have the full support of the family yet? I mean, that's where there's levels to it. And I think Solo at some point may be able to win a championship or win the championship. I think they probably should have started the ball a little bit lower and went for like someone like LA Knight. But that could also be where Jacob goes instead. But I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a failure. Is it exactly what we were anticipating? No. But we even said, like, in the run up through SummerSlam, that Solo was starting to find it a little more and starting to get it a little more and starting to be a little more strategic and not just this crazy running around, dropping everybody. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on it, Double A. I'm not sure exactly which way we should lean yet.
I guess, and this is the fun part about addressing this question now, knowing that obviously we can't really answer the question right now. Like, in the literal sense, just him alone, he's not getting a pop. He's just not. He's not just himself. He's not really, fans aren't looking forward to really booing him, partly because they found something better to boo. That's Jacob Fatu. They found something a little bit better, within the group. But I think you raise a good point that in terms of what was his purpose among the world of the Bloodline storyline and in the world of WWE, if his purpose was to at first lead Bloodline 2.0 and perhaps, this guy is the direct connect to Roman, and he knows a ton of people. That's what Paul Heyman said behind the scenes and all this. Like, Solo is connected to a ton of cousins and connected to a ton of people. So his role, even though I guess the way to answer this, even though no one really looks forward to seeing Solo himself, his role in this story is very important
Yeah.
in the lines of the Bloodline story at this point. I purposely stopped because I knew you had to readjust your seating position.
I'm getting there, but yeah, you're exactly right. He has that, and it's almost kind of like the youthful side of things, right? Where he can connect with some of the cousins that are, that haven't maybe gotten what they want of their career yet, or they were popular in a certain spot. Like obviously the Tongue is super popular in Japan, but never really got a fair shake in the United States. Things like that. Jacob Fatu, who's been all over the independents and been killing it, but never got a shot in WWE or even in AEW because of his legal troubles, all that stuff. He can connect more with those guys because he felt like he was, in a similar spot. He was kind of like, okay, I'm just the enforcer. I'm just this whatever. So he has that kind of connect through. And honestly, it's a new generation too. There's some more apparently, Samoans waiting in the wings to make their debuts and they come up and do some stuff. So which side they go with, we'll see. Um, Still waiting for Jimmy to come back. I think that's going to be possibly now, maybe after Bad Blood, depending on what they decide to do, because I believe Survivor Series is at the end of November.
Correct.
So
Yes.
they have time to build to that huge match. But still, I get people that are saying it's a flop. He gets boos, but it's not like Rock level when he turned heel boos or anything like that. Which, to be fair, no one really gets those kind of cheers anymore. But I mean, uh, who knows, man? I mean, people are cheering Jacob Fatu when he does crazy shit, or they're in awe, and you can hear the gasps and the whole. You can hear all that just because he does stuff that is insane. But I mean,
Yeah, for his size, it was just crazy. Now let's bring this conversation back to Roman and Cody because throughout the show, I mean, Cody has the match. I think Cody during the cage match got number one babyface world champion reaction from the fans. I believe they were in Seattle. They got that reaction. Roman comes out, does his business. Roman gets that reaction, and then as the show is going on, Cody at some point during the show says, actually he motioned at the end of the cage match. That's it. I'm done with the bloodline. It's over. Like that's it. And then he made that reinforcement again to Nick Aldis that I'm out of the bloodline. I'm out of bloodline business. I wonder, before we get to the final interaction at the end of the show, did you have an issue with him saying at that point of the show, Kyle, that he was done with bloodline business? Like at that point of the show, to me, it made sense. Like he's done all these battles with the bloodline. The issues with Roman and internal bloodline, Cody wanted to move on. I think to me, I heard criticism from people who say like, wait a minute, maybe he looks kind of weak with that. I thought at that point of the show, it made complete sense that Cody would be out of bloodline business.
he's been fighting the group essentially almost since he came back to WWE, right? I mean, besides the feud with Seth when he was there for a few months, everything else has been Roman. It's been the bloodline. Chasing the title, losing the first time, kind of going through that year afterwards where he had the little mini feud with Brock, and then obviously came back full circle at some point, was teaming with Jey when the tag title. He always was involved with the bloodline in some sense or another. So yeah, I don't blame him. He thought he was done. But at the same point, they don't want to start any feud yet. When it comes to Randy or anyone else in the roster, it keeps Roman close to the title. And as far as the number one back and forth, I mean, I don't know if that's a question you were going to ask next or not, but I mean,
that's next. Yeah, go ahead.
Who's the champion? Who's the top merch seller in the company, or at least right now ahead?
Cody and Cody.
It's still Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roman's still obviously up there, and so is Jey and some of the other guys. But I mean, it's still Cody, and there's nothing wrong with having a really, really, really solid number two. Like, I don't even know if they would even look at him like that. It'd probably be 1A or 1AA or 1A and 1B. Like, there's no to have that kind of star power in general is a good problem to have. you can have multiple baby faces essentially that just get cheered crazy. Look at LA Knight. At one point, he was getting louder cheers than anyone on that roster. I mean, he's the U.S. champion. So, and he's still over, and he still gets big pops and all that stuff too. So, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I think that they're gonna eventually go in separate directions for a little bit. Be it Roman having to deal with the bloodline stuff with Survivor Series, maybe even possibly Saudi Arabia. That's maybe where he gets that one-on-one match with Solo or Jacob, one of the two. I imagine Cody goes in a different direction for a little bit as well, maybe through Survivor Series, and then we circle back around the Royal Rumble again, probably. But I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with both guys getting cheered loudly, consistently. I think that's a good problem to have, and that kind of reaffirms Triple H from a standpoint of, hey, I could have either one of these guys be my champion. We could be fine, but let's make it make sense because we know they're both over anyway. So like, let's just make sure that we write the correct story and not just like, okay, well, Roman's getting cheered a little louder than Cody today, so maybe we should like, no, that's Vince booking, and that's bad. That's how you ruin Reigns, and you ruin, no pun intended, and you ruin, different aspects of what you're trying to build by just hearing one crowd or hearing it for a little bit, and all of a sudden we're just, okay, we're gonna flip everything, you know, in some situations, and others, like with the Cody thing when he got pushed through over the Rock this past year. I mean, that was a groundswell. That's something where it's like it was trending on social media for multiple days in a row, multiple shows, all that stuff. At that point, you have to hear, and it's consecutive. Roman coming back is huge, but no one's saying, "Oh, Roman should be champion and Cody shouldn't be there anymore. You should go to Raw." Like no one's saying that. So it's a balance, but I'm not too concerned about it.
And it's one of those things too. Before we move here, it's one of those things. Roman has a slogan that's over. OTC is way over, obviously. OTC, and him being able to explain it. And look, Cody coming out at that moment, at the end of the show, at that moment, yeah, that was bad guy heelish timing for him to come out. Yes, the crowd was a little deflated because they wanted to hear what Roman had to say. Roman, I might be off base on this. I don't think Roman had cut a promo since returning until that moment. Yeah, that was his first time talking. So Cody coming out at that moment, yeah, even and obviously we had the football games on Friday, so watching it on delay, even watching it, I'm like, oh Lord, I actually wanted to hear what Roman had to say. But hey, good on Triple H. Like, for example, I'm waiting for Triple H to pull the plug or make the switch with Xavier Woods. He's making us wait. I hate him for that, but he's doing the right thing. But I can't stand it because, damn it, it was there. It was there on Monday. It was there.
He still might not turn on him. You never know.
Exactly. Because it's just set up, but it's storytelling. Doing a great job with that. All right, let's move to Raw. And we're going to move to a feud, Kyle, that I think is going to wrap up at Bad Blood. A feud that is 9 months deep, 10 months deep. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And first of all, I want to say this, Kyle. I am very proud, just in the promo itself on Monday. CM Punk sometimes, I've heard this from some people, CM Punk sometimes relies a little, does he still have it in terms of delivering storytelling? And I heard some people reference that, oh, well, sometimes he just relies too heavily on inside jabs, AEW jab here, a little bit of that. I always believe he was a great storyteller, but I thought everything to open up Raw, that promo that he had, where he set the tone, the body language set the tone, that somebody's going to die, quote unquote, to wrap this feud up inside Hell in a Cell. He referenced the last time they was in Portland, which I forgot about. He referenced that. I thought CM Punk did an unbelievable job setting the tone for why this match at Hell in a Cell should end this feud.
And it will because it's the third match, right? I mean, they had the SummerSlam match, they had the Bull Rope match at the last pay per view, and now they'll have this one. So I mean, it's about time, I think, to move on to. And the rumor is Punk's in line for a World Heavyweight Title match at Survivor Series. So we'll see what happens with that as well. But I mean, it's hit all my expectations. It's got gave Drew something to do over the past year, and he's ran with it to the point where it was good enough where they got him to sign a new contract and everything too in the middle of all of this.
I forgot about that too. I completely forgot about the contract thing.
Yeah, it's given Punk a reputable person to have his first feud with. We thought, and for all intents and purposes, it was going to be Seth, but injuries happen, that kind of stuff, and they used that to essentially jumpstart a story that lasted as long as it did. And I don't hear anyone complaining at this point about how good these guys have been. The bracelet aside, whatever it was, I mean, this was great. And if it truly ends on October 5th, I think it is, or 6th, one of those days, I mean, then, hey, what bigger match could they do than Hell in a Cell? And this also is a good launching point to get one of them off of Raw. I think that is one of the keys because we know both of them they should be in line for a world championship match. If you throw Drew McIntyre on SmackDown, there's Cody's next feud. He's a built-in heel. He's over as hell. He's talented. He can take a little bit of time, and then he can go over there and he can shake up the house a little bit. It distracts Cody for a while, and then obviously Roman and those guys can have their own separate co-main event with the Bloodline stuff. I mean, it gives a lot there with that. And then Punk can obviously turn his attention towards the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that should be, honestly, it should be a stipulation too. Loser leaves Raw type thing should be an add-in little bonus because until recently when they finally said, I think it was Punk said, at least not on the brand, we have to be on separate brands, we have to be away from each other. Pierce said that too, like we need to get you guys away from each other. Maybe a trade. I mean, we've seen AJ Styles get thrown around left and right.
Yeah,
so you never know with him.
Honestly, I want that to happen. I don't want that as a stipulation. I want it as, after the match is over, at some point it is a trade. It is hey, AJ Styles, WWE.com, we're sending Drew McIntyre to SmackDown, AJ Styles is coming to Raw. Something like that. I don't want that as a stipulation because it almost gives away that CM Punk's winning the match. That would be my only thing. But other than that, I'm in lockstep with you. I do believe, look, everything that you want out of this feud, you got. Everything. You got brutality, you got ultimate trash talking by both parties. It's deeply personal. Both guys hate each other, and it shows. In fact, they can't even operate without the mere thought of their opposition. They just can't. CM Punk can't even freely go to NXT without Drew McIntyre being brought up. That's the cool thing about it. And if you wanted more stuff through social media, it's there for you too. Drew McIntyre had a post on social media reacting to CM Punk's promo where he was just, wife told me to stay at home and, I'm going to finally do that. And I finally did that and everything. So, yeah, look, this almost, if you really want to go back, now, there wasn't a championship involved, or there's not a championship involved with this feud. But way back with Triple H and Batista in 2005, when Batista won the title, that turned into, this is so personal that when this is all said and done, one of those guys has to leave that show. And it turned out to be Batista. And Batista went on to SmackDown, became the face of SmackDown, did his thing there. I can see a similar path laid out here with Drew McIntyre. Listen. If they go with Drew McIntyre to win this match, I don't know if they'll go that route. I haven't talked myself into that yet, but I'm not going to say it would be a mistake. If Drew McIntyre puts down CM Punk, puts him down. But I haven't talked myself into that yet, Kyle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's theoretically, does Punk really need to win? Probably not. I mean, he's as over as he's going to be as far as that level, and Drew can still win this match and then use that as a catapult to facing Cody.
Good.
He can say, I've been in the ring with Gunther many times, but I haven't been in the ring with you, Cody. Like, he can do that crazy shit or whatever. And I had to leave Ross, that crazy psychopath. CM Punk wouldn't follow my arse over here. Like, he can do the whole thing where he's, talking like that. And there's an avenue to do it. It gives Punk a little bit of time off as well after that match. I'm sure he's probably going to need it because it's
Yeah.
going to be insane. But at the same point, it depends on how you value CM Punk on Raw and what his end goal is. I imagine at some point it's going to be to win that championship and then have Seth come back and that's your match at Mania. Whether it's Seth winning the Rumble, whether it's whatever. I mean, I'd imagine Seth and Punk is still the match you want. Will it be for the world title? I don't know. I think Punk has proven he can have a feud for multiple months and not have it involve a championship and it be over. So, I mean, that's the bonus too in all this, right? I think maybe that was one of the things that they were looking at when they were talking about his run after the Rollins thing didn't happen for the world championship. Okay, well, Punk, originally we had you facing Seth for the title at WrestleMania 40 and winning and being champion, which would have gave Drew even more of an end to go after him. But we did this feud with Drew, no title involved. People got really into it. You guys did great. We have plans for Gunther, be it, whoever, Cena, someone else at Mania kind of being the guy to go up against him. Maybe we have Seth interfere in your match with him at Survivor Series and have you guys build a 6-month feud going into WrestleMania where it's you two on that card.
Mm.
Maybe we do that. And it's his ultimate goal is the main event more than nights. I know that's something that once he hits that goal, I think he's going to be fully satisfied with his career as far as hitting those check marks. I don't think CM Punk's won a Royal Rumble yet either, so I'm sure that's probably up there for him too. But
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, he's also said to you, I'm not here to step on any toes. I'm not here to go in a spot where I'm not. I want to be in the spot I deserve to be in. So, and he's deserving of being in a match with Gunther right now for the World Championship. He's put that kind of work in. He came back and had those matches with Drew and looked good. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Look, I'm here to make. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. That's the mantra of CM Punk. That's really been what it is. And any off chance that Cody continues with the bloodline. Let's just say that Cody is on. He's with Roman Reigns, and the whole bloodline situation. We're not going to go through it right now. But let's just say Cody, Roman, Jey Uso, the Usos, and everything. They're on a team versus the Temu bloodline. You do need a singles world championship match, and CM Punk being in that against Gunther would probably make sense as Survivor Series. I mean, you could probably roll with that. And look,
that's a good point too for Seth to come back, right? I mean, we talked about when is he going to get, that opportunity. I mean, that could be a good spot. He gets plenty of time off to rehab, to get some of that stuff fixed, and just try and get himself right. And then he can come back at the end of November and he can start something that's going to build obviously through April. So I mean, it makes sense at least on paper. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it does. Well, still to come. There is a feud on Raw that I can't stand. I can't. It needs to end. It needs to look. Punk and McIntyre needs to end because it's been great. It's peaked, and the finale is here at Bad Blood. But this feud that we're about to talk about on the other side needs to end because, quite honestly, I'm tired of it, and it kind of sucks. I'm not even gonna lie to you, at least from my view. Plus, Jey Uso, all of a sudden, he's off television the entire summer. Off television, no storyline, no nothing. All of a sudden, he's all over the damn show. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that, plus a ton of news in pro wrestling. There's a media deal that's about to wrap up. The previous media partner trashed the company. There's a lot we need to get into. I want to talk real quick about Mike from State Farm. Mike from State Farm. I have his card. We don't have his graphic today, but I have his insurance card, his ID card. And on the back of it says, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You know the slogan from State Farm. And we both know Mike from State Farm. And you could look up his information all over. Mike Fieber, agent, State Farm agent, but also a professional wrestler or training to be a professional wrestler, Kyle. And unbelievable cool dude. We met him a few times, met him at his office in Cleveland Heights. And Kyle, Mike from State Farm, he's going to hook you up. He's going to hook everybody up. You got to get in touch with him.
It's one of those things, man. Well, listen, you watch the podcast. Obviously, you enjoy what we do. And we like connecting with people in the wrestling community, whether it was the kids we met, obviously, when we were down on West 6 covering SummerSlam, or whether it's the folks that will reach out to us on our videos day in and day out. You want to work with someone who has similar interests, that obviously has that personality that you know you can trust. And Mike is definitely that guy when it comes down to home and auto, life, whatever it is, any kind of insurance you can think of. He can take care of that for you guys. And also, he's just a really good dude, someone that you can talk to about these kind of things. He can give you his honest opinion on how this all works and make sure that you're taken care of properly. There's not really anywhere else you should consider to go at this point, just because Mike has been nailing this down for a while. He's been great. And as Double A mentioned, he loves pro wrestling. He's one of us. He just loves taking all of it in. He loves it so much. He's trying to become a professional wrestler, which we're excited about the next few weeks, trying to get him on the show and see the progress, what he's made, and talk to him about what's next as they kind of work through over at Exodus Pro. Is someone going to answer that open challenge he put out at the previous show at Journey 2? So we're going to find out about all that stuff and more in the coming weeks. But Mike from State Farm, man, he is fantastic. Also a fantastic follow on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. The places that dude goes is insane. He's been on a vacation the past few weeks, finally taking some time for himself and his family, and been able to go see a lot of the country and do a lot of different things. Big baseball fan too, loves that. Football fan as well. But wrestling is his true first love, besides his wife. And we're excited to have him as part of this show, of course, and to see what our next steps for him. And we obviously would not be having someone like him with us if we didn't truly believe in what he represents and what he can do for you when it comes to protecting your family, protecting your house, your apartment, anything like that. So make sure you guys give Mike a call. Double A is going to read off the number in a second, so that way you guys can give that phone number a call. Of course, you can find him on social media too. Just search Mike from State Farm as well. Different social media handles. We always have the graphic up as well. You can go back and check that out. He is phenomenal. Double A, what's that number again to call if you want to get in touch with Mike?
216-932-6900. That's 216-932-6900. The number to get in contact with Mike. Hey, even if it's Friday the 13th, he will still pick up the phone. It was crazy.
Right.
This was crazy. That video was amazing. Him working on Friday the 13th last week. It was great. But
also, too, I should mention Double A as well. For the folks that do decide to give him a call, let them know where you heard it from. Honestly, let them know. It helps the folks that work with us to know that we're reaching you guys and you're interested. You want to check it out. Let them know, hey, I saw the guys in Also Wrestling podcast talk about you. I thought I'd give you a call and see what you had to offer. They love hearing that. Obviously, Mike does too. He loves knowing that wrestling fans, one, just obviously want to talk to him, but two, obviously want to know more about what he does during his day job and what it means, obviously, to him and what he can do for you. So mention us, Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast to him. And, of course, he'll be thrilled that you called. And he'll give you an honest answer. Listen, some things work, some things don't, but he definitely wants to make sure he knows and can tell you exactly what you're entitled to, so that way you guys can get what you deserve, which is the very best.
And yeah, and that's supported throughout. And I'll just say this too: if you can't think off the top of your head your life insurance plan, give Mike a call. He's going to hook you up. Give Mike a call. That is so important. I can't tell you. You know, we just had loss of the family, a couple months back. I can't tell you. If you don't have life insurance, please get on that. And Mike from State Farm will take care of that. I think he told us like only 44% of people have life insurance. Like, if you can't think of what your life insurance plan is off the top of your head, please give Mike from State Farm a call. Again, one more time, 216-932-6900. You can also go to his website at myfaberagent.com. Check that all out. And, of course, we'll have all the information on our social media platforms. Definitely check it out. Well, before we move on, I'm going to take more of this because this is really good. Again, this is from from B.A. Sweeties. Kyle can't have any because he's not here in studio. He's at home nursing his injury. But the Howlers Shake and Spray, sour candy, twist and chew. And while I consume, you at home will consume this commercial from B.A. Sweeties. Dog, this is gone. Dog. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's disrespectful, burping into the mic. Excuse me.
Oh, boy.
Excuse me. Excuse me. We're a professional podcast, so we will not edit that part out. Real glass, brother. Real glass. Nah, but this is really good. I'm telling you. People don't realize that, like, our generation, Kyle, I don't think a lot of our friends understand the difference. Like, how much better soda, and we call it pop here in Cleveland and Ohio, how much better pop tastes out of a glass bottle. I don't think people realize how good these are. B.A. Sweeties, they got you covered.
They do. Honestly, I'm super jealous of you right now. If I didn't have alcohol with me, I'd be really even more upset. So,
hold on, one more time. Hold on, give me a second here. Tell the people where they can go to get this, Kyle. Where they can go.
Go to B.A. Sweeties. Double A leans all the way back in the chair. Hopefully, it doesn't fall over backwards. But nevertheless, of course, down on Brook Park Road, you see the giant light pops when you're driving down the street. It's right off of that 480 exit on Ridge Road. You turn left onto Ridge, left onto Brook Park. You're literally right there. It's awesome. We both had a chance to go talk with Tom here in the past week or so. And man, it feels like every time we go, they just keep getting better and better. There's more stuff that you can just peruse and look through, whether it's the candy, the soda that Double A was just drinking, the spray that Double A was leaning back in there. It almost went down his throat because he almost dropped it. I mean, it's crazy. There's so much they have to be able to enjoy and appreciate. Make sure you guys go to B.A. Sweetie. It's fantastic. Don't forget to, obviously, the soda shop up front, different flavors of milkshakes, at least 30 different kinds. Also, Putt-Putt is still going on. It was hot as balls today. It's BAWLZ, balls. It doesn't matter. They still have things going on there with Putt-Putt. And, of course, they're going to be down at the Ix Center this year. Oh, they're the provider of the candy down there. I think it's Trick or Treat that's going on down at the Ix Center next month. So make sure you guys tune in for that, too.
Yeah, and we're scheduling a date. We will actually broadcast live from B.A. Sweeties at some point in October. So Kyle and I will be there, loaded with sugar. I'm going to also say this as somebody who's a work from home employee. B.A. Sweeties is very, very beneficial if you're a work from home employee. If you need to be on a sugar high, that's why Pete's looking at me. He knows, like, you need I'm gonna take some of this back home. You need some of this stuff,
He
man.
needs to do me a favor. Make sure you can actually stop bouncing off the walls before you leave. Because when I get a report that there's a short guy going 160 on 480, I need to make sure you're going to be safe.
Listen. I'm gonna take Snow Road back, okay? I'm challenging.
All right.
I'm gonna take Snow and Rockside back. It's gonna be 10-2. I'm gonna be focused. I'm gonna be driving. I'm gonna be like, man, I'm gonna be locked in. You understand? I feel restricted right now.
Don't forget, red means stop, green means go.
Bet. Yellow means run. I'm sorry, that's not it. You don't understand how much I want to like. We have great equipment here, excellent equipment. You don't understand how much I want to just run around this studio right now, and I have to stay seated and composed because I am locked in on sugar. Man, this stuff is good. And it's sour. I'm not even a big fan of sour stuff, but this is fantastic. This is good stuff. All right, we got to move on with the show. We got to get going. If I keep going, we're going to lose about 3 topics. Listen. I love Judgment Day. I love Rhea and Damian Priest. I loved the breakup. It finally it had to happen. It was, incredible build up to it, and the breakup happened, and it was great. They had their tag match, and obviously, within the course of the story, now you need your one-on-one matches. You need Damian to face Finn. You need Rhea to one more time face Liv Morgan. I understand. So don't take what I'm about to say as, oh, they need to scrap this storyline right now and all of them need to do something else on Monday. I completely understand that you have to finish the story. Didn't mean to say it like that. However, I don't like this story. I've had enough of this story. I need to see, and maybe we're seeing a little bit here with Jey's. I need to see, listen, sometimes you grow apart. Sometimes people have different goals, different aspirations within a group. Sometimes, listen, Damian wants to be his own man. Rhea wants to be her own woman, and she was before. She's going to be that again. And Judgment Day right now is constructed. It's pretty cool. It's time for them to move. It's time for them to move the fuck on. That's what I'm saying. That's all I got, Kyle.
I mean, yeah. Once these single matches happen, I imagine they'll eventually get into new stuff, but it's hard because they were the founding members of it. It's like, so let's say for our fans that maybe watched wrestling back in the 90s and 2000s, right? It's almost like with Shawn Michaels and DX, right? With Triple H. They were best friends. They were always around each other. Finn and Damian were 2 of the original members of Judgment Day, right? They had this big run for multiple years. Difference was obviously that Shawn got hurt and was no longer a part of the group, but I'm sure it was a little bit sour grapes, sour apples. He's seeing that, Triple H is succeeding. Finn had been friends with these guys for a long time too, and had his injury and had kind of lost himself for a while, and saw Damian winning championships and moving up, and obviously saw Rhea being Rhea Ripley, which is probably the most over women's wrestler they have, and was like, I want to get in on that, obviously, and then maybe got a little jealous and upset when Damian won the world championship and had the money in the bank and all that stuff, and was able to live the dream that he thought Finn was going to live in the first place, right? First ever Universal Champion, the whole thing. I don't know if it's ever going to end, dude. I don't know. I think that there are always going to be some sort of strings attached to this group. Will they physically be in a feud with each other? Will they be like constantly going at each other's throats? Maybe not. But it's kind of like Drew and Punk, right? They're always going to be tied together unless someone leaves the brand or isn't around. I don't know.
But you know what, though? That I understand. I understand that, obviously, when you're a founding member, you're always a so-way tied. Hell, for all we know, and we're not in the business of getting to the end of the book instead of the beginning, For all we know, they can all reunite. Happy, that's that. But where we're at right now, I think for Damian Priest in particular, for Damian Priest, he has proven to me that, hey, he can go. He's always been able to go in the ring, but it's always been, does he have command of his character? And as a heel, he did, and as a babyface, he has shown, hey, he has that command. I think in the case of Damian Priest, I think it's important for him to get the big W at Bad Blood. And I don't want a Punk McIntyre situation here. Priest has got to move on, like to something else. Hey, actually, I have an idea. Did you say not too long ago that you wanted the Wyatt Six to move on to bigger and better things?
Could be the target of the Judgment Day. Yeah, that could be it.
That could be that. Oh, I'm going to talk myself into something. You want a second Survivor Series match? You want a War Games match? Yeah. Put the Wyatt Six against the New Judgment Day. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that will work, Kyle. I think that will work.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It just depends, obviously, too, on what they decide to do. As I keep flipping my phone
What are you
over.
doing with the
Here we go.
camera?
I had to lay down because my back was getting tight. But no, yeah, it's a match. I don't know if it's going to be a Survivor Series match, but it just so happens the numbers do match up. It'll be 5-on-5, so I don't know.
And,
I mean,
yeah, and we got a long way to go. I mean, even what the hell is in between? Crown Jewel,
yeah.
Crown Jewel. That's in there. So we do.
The
gotta
show
waste.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a money grab, but hell, this is a comedy. We all need a money grab. Crown Jewel, by the way, is the weekend.
What was that?
It's the weekend before the United States election. I believe. I'm not
last chance to get Kamala and Trump out there on an elephant.
Trying.
Or it's too late.
Trying to push this into existence. I think you have some swing voters. I think there's something there. Who knows? Maybe it's not. Who's going to host the next election? It won't be Fox News. It'll actually be WWE in Saudi Arabia. That will be the last chance to get your message out there. Oh, boy. Real quick before we move to rapid fire. Jey Uso. Dude's all over the TV now. Making an impact. Man. He's doing a great job. I'm very proud. What did you think of his promo with Bron Breakker?
Told you I love Serious Jay. That was he's not Silent Bob, but he's Serious Jay. That was fantastic. I mean, he brought it, and the NFL line was good. Like he hits. I told you he goes so hard in his entrance that sometimes he's like out of breath when he gets to the ring because he's just like losing his shit. So I mean, you can kind of tell he has to like kind of stagger his speech. But no, I think that's a money feud. That makes a lot of sense. I told you before too. I mean, Braun doesn't have to be IC champ forever. Like they don't have to do a Gunther thing. They don't have to do. Not every reign needs to be, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. Look at Damian Priest, right? WrestleMania through August, so it was what I think was it 5 months, or whatever it was. I mean, it doesn't have to be this crazy, stupid 4-year long run. And let's be honest, Braun is probably the future of the company. I mean, the way he's already over and doing all this stuff. He proved that NXT. He's proved that now on the main roster. It's only a matter of time before he's targeting Gunther for that championship. If it's not going to be someone special like Cena or one of those guys or Punk or whatever at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship, it probably should be Bron Breakker. But that's just my opinion. So I love the feud. It gives Jey a chance possibly to win that singles championship. And I told you before last week, tying Jey into that Bloodline feud as a champion adds a little more credence to him being able to go up against someone like Jacob Fatu, whatever it is, because if he just comes after losing another championship match, it's the same old with Jey.
Yeah.
Super over, everybody. Everyone loves you. Everyone's eating, but you haven't done anything on your own.
And why
Like,
would
he needs to
Roman?
show
And why would Roman want to take him back if he's not a
exactly.
champion? If he hasn't done anything on
Well,
his own.
I love you, Jey, but I don't think you can handle this. Like, that could be a serious conversation he has with him. Like, it's be on camera. It's like obviously Jimmy would come back and Jimmy would be with Roman, and then Jey would be like, "All right, let's do it." And but if he doesn't have a championship, it's kind of like, whatever.
Well, the date of this championship match is actually pretty significant. It's going to be on Raw on Monday. They're not. It's going to be on Raw, and I know maybe for television purposes, I know there's 2 Monday Night Football games this upcoming week. So maybe you do want to make headlines and give Jey the strap. My question, hell, we're not going to be on the air again until that match already happens. I personally believe, you know what? I think Jey's going to do it. I think Jey is going to win the IC championship on Monday night.
I don't know how many matches have been booked already for Bad Blood. But I don't know. It screams screwy finish, or Jey pins Braun, but the ref isn't around, or something like that, and then he loses. Just set up a bigger match. But yeah, if they want to make waves, go for it. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing. Jey as the IC champion would be good, and I know Braun would have only had a title then for, oh gosh, I don't know, like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yes.
Which I kind of wanted it to be Bad Blood, just thought we had a couple months as champ. But
and look,
it's a rough spot because you also don't want to make him look bad. So I don't know.
Right. And you could always have, you can have Jey win on Monday to close the show. And then the following week, Jey opens the show or put him at 9 o'clock, whatever, has this celebration of the championship, and Bron Breakker just beats the crap out of him. And you could run back the rematch at the pay-per-view. Bron Breakker is good enough on the microphone and physical presence that he could eat a loss and wouldn't be hurt at all. And I think that adds to the point that you were making.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm excited for it. Should be fun.
Yeah, we're going to find out for sure, definitely, what's going to happen. All right, let's move to rapid fire. We're going to actually be disciplined and actually do it and get the job done here. So, a lot of things here we want to get to, and we're going to have to start here. Hot rumor, strong rumor that AEW is on its way to landing a new media deal. For what we have heard, it's going to be between TBS, TNT, True TV. Now, in the language, it says it's going to be 2 shows per week. So my thought would be Rampage was probably done. It'll probably be Dynamite and Collision. And then remember, they use True TV, kind of like a simulcast network. So, you got AEW there. The money terms involved, I believe we're looking at $190 million, 3-year deal with a 4th-year option. And then there's also a rumor that there's another package that they could be shopping. This would be for the broadcast networks. No word on whether or not pay-per-view is involved with this. Kyle, your overall thoughts on what you have been hearing with the AEW media rights deal that would start in January of 2025?
Not surprised. I told you, I figured they were going to sign a new contract with them. I mean, TBS and TNT is bleeding, so they need some sort of content, and they for what they do on the nights they do it. I mean, Wednesday is usually a dull day for TV. I mean, they post a number that is respectable enough that it makes sense to want to keep them. But if anyone is like, oh my God, they're making all this money, it's like between 170 to 190 is what we've heard, and we don't know what the company operates at. Like, I don't know how much profit they're making when it comes to that. I mean, people can say it doesn't matter that no one shows up, but it does when you're paying for all the events, you're paying for all the locations, you're paying to be there. Like, you want return on that. You almost want that to essentially to cancel out, or you want to make a profit there, so that way your TV deal isn't eating that up, isn't trying to negate some of that. You want the TV deal to be fruitful and to be extra and to bring all of it in. You mentioned the big question is the streaming rights for their pay-per-view that they have, because they're doing now apparently one a month or whatever it is, or in some cases multiple ones in weeks, or whatever the case may be. A lot of people are not thrilled with paying $50 every month to watch a show that they may enjoy, they may like, but it's just a lot to watch pay-per-view. It's not the model anymore. It just isn't. The model is going stream and paying $10 a month to watch all your shit, including this. Like, there's a reason WWE kind of saw that and went to it with their network, and then obviously the Peacock deal and now Netflix and all that stuff too. But I mean, like, it's something they have to really consider. And if it's a separate deal with Max, I don't know what that's going to entail. I don't know what the charge would be, what the cost would be. But at the end of the day, we're never going to know, because this is not a publicly traded company. This is owned by one person who does not have to divulge anything to us when it comes to cost, when it comes to what he's paying, what he's not, how much of the talent all making together. That's a huge roster, believe it or not. It is huge.
We're talking
and a
over
lot of them are making a lot of
over
money.
200 wrestlers, I believe, on that roster, Kyle.
You said, what was that?
Over almost, I believe, over 200 wrestlers on that roster between the AEW roster. Oh, and let's not forget Ring of Honor too.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly insane. So, do I think altogether they're making all 170 million a year? No, I'm not stupid, but I mean, it's probably between 50 to 100 million for everybody per year when you do all the math. So that just ate up a good chunk of it. Then, of course, you're obviously going into these different places. Will they make a little bit of money? Sure, I'm sure they will. Tony Khan, we talked about this from the beginning, though. This is not about money. It never has been. You just need to be on TV in general, and then you need to be able to, just spend money you already have. So he never got into this business to make money. That's why a lot of the bigger names that we've talked about before that have been in the Vince era, all that stuff, didn't want to go to him because they didn't feel like they were the same business. He's in the business of making dream matches in his own head and all that stuff, and everyone else is in the business to make money. WWE wanted to make money. That's why they sold to Endeavor. That's why they're part of a $22 billion conglomerate company in TKO. They make a shit ton of money. AEW, I'm sure, will be profitable. They'll be able to. He'll share some sort of thing that says, "Oh, we're making this, or we're doing a little bit of this, or he'll just say we're making money. This is a huge deal." But you have to be able to keep that interest up. Then and that's why this is only a 3-year deal. Remember last time it was 5 when they signed. They bought into the extension immediately after the first year. They extended it right away, so it ended up being a 5-year total deal. Because in 2019, that's when AEW started. So, I mean, this is 3 more years. It's almost like a little window here to see, hey, what's going on? If you guys are doing well, we'll extend you for 1 more, and we'll negotiate. If not, well, then we'll cut ties and we'll see what we do. But I mean, they will always be around. They will always be there, whether there's 2,000 people in the stands for a Dynamite, or whether there's 10,000 in the stands for a random pay-per-view they have, or whatever. There will always be an AEW as long as Tony Khan wants there to be one. So,
speaking of Tony Khan, last night of this taping, Tony Khan released, or he didn't release, but the NFL produced the day of the life of Tony Khan. It premiered last night on FS1. We have not seen it yet. I know your answer, but I want to hear it verbally. Will you go out of your way? I don't know what your cable setup is yet. I know you just moved in and stuff. You got other stuff to deal with. But if you really want to see content, you find a way. Do you want to go out of your way? Will you go out of your way to watch this 30-minute day in the life of Tony Khan as he navigated through the NFL draft?
The only thing, AA, more painful than me dealing with my back right now and this nerve issue is having to sit through 30 minutes of watching that guy run around with his hair on fire. I'm sorry. I can't. Sorry.
Pete's considering. He's thinking about it. No, Pete ain't watching it. Pete wants no parts of the FS1
No.
NFL draft. We're, in the preview, one of the personnel in there was like, did he break his neck? What do you do? I was like, what happened? AEW. Oh.
No, that storyline's still going strong, right? Oh, wait.
Man, that's going. All right. Something that was around 40 years ago that will be returning at the end of the year, Saturday night's main event, the NBC special. Now, we were not old enough to watch the original Saturday night's main event from the 80s and early 90s when Hulk Hogan subbed in for Saturday Night Live. But we saw Saturday night's main event in the mid-2000s with John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and those guys and some of those specials. Your excitement level for the return of Saturday night's main event coming in mid-December on NBC and Peacock?
I want a fucking break. Like, do we have enough? Like, we have enough football. We have enough wrestling on at this point. I have to pay attention to multiple companies. Like, can we just like not do it on a fucking Saturday, please? Unless it's going to be a pay-per-view. Like, good God, I know there's a gap between obviously Survivor Series, and I don't know what the next pay-per-view is. Like, maybe it's Rumble. I have no idea.
Rumble.
But like, for the love of Christ, like, let's just. I get it. I know it's almost going to be like kind of like their Christmas type thing because they're not going to have any content going out there for that week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. But oh, for the love of God!
Listen. I'm just happy because I know as part of this deal with SmackDown, NBC gets 4 primetime specials. I'm just happy they're not burnt. With all due respect, I greatly appreciate the military and everything. And so it's not a shot against the military. I'm happy it's not a tribute to the troops. I thought
that's what it was going to be originally when they were talking about it, but
as a prime time special, like let's actually put effort into on a show. Because it will be, I think it's December 14th or 15th, that Saturday. It'll probably be the last important show before the holiday season, and then of course Rumble is on February 1st. So there's look. I understand your point. I do understand your point. We will get that break with Christmas. And then, of course, we're going to, when Raw goes to Netflix, that's when we'll really rev up. But it's cool to get that back. All right, let's fly through a couple more things before we wrap here. I will say this about SmackDown. A little bare, honestly. I have nothing other than the Bloodline stuff. We do have this. On SmackDown this Friday, Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. They're going to be in a tag team match against Bayley and Naomi. The stipulation, if Bayley or Naomi pins Nia Jax, they win the number 1 contendership for the championship. Okay, whatever. But if Bayley or Naomi loses, if one of them is pinned, they have to leave SmackDown. If given the opportunity, between Bayley or Naomi, who would you send over to either Raw or NXT?
Oh, I'd send Bayley to Raw. And then I'd make that trade where it's Bayley for Rhea Ripley. Talk about splitting people up. Let's do it. Let's shake things up a bit. Put Rhea on SmackDown. We know Charlotte's going to be back on SmackDown too at some point. Throw Bayley on Raw. She can feud with Liv. They have a bit of a history. So, I mean, that'd be kind of fun. Gives Bayley something fresh to do. Naomi's got Jade and Bianca on SmackDown. I think they want to keep those 3 together. So, and eventually, too, Jimmy's going to be back on SmackDown. So it makes more sense for Naomi to stay there than to go to Raw. So,
all right, quickly here. Fox Sports, former home of SmackDown, released a presser because now they're airing college football on Fridays. And it says here in the press release, Fox College Football Friday scores best Friday night on Fox in over 5 months. The inaugural Fox College Football Friday was the best performance for a Friday night telecast on Fox since April 5th, 2024. Up plus 46% week over week compared to last week's regular Friday night programming. Was this Fox taking a shot at WWE?
No, what was the program that drew that number back in April 4th? It was fucking WWE. So they're when Smackdown had like a 2.3 or 2.4 rating. No, it's Fox is excited because they have football back. They have football on their airways, which is fine. I mean, there's probably some subtlety in there with that too, but Fox also didn't want to pay. So I mean, it is what it is. When they lost a brand essentially, was it? They had a good run. It was good. How many years are they with Fox now?
5 years.
5 years, whatever it was, maybe a little longer. So I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm sure everyone at CKO is really upset by that, and they're sitting, of course, with their $22 billion company, and they're like, "Oh man, Fox, fuck." let me roll around in some Netflix money first before I get really upset about Fox not paying this.
All right, we got to wrap. A little preview for next week. Next week is September 25th, 26th. The Vince McMahon Netflix documentary drops next Wednesday. It's 6 parts. We will not have time to watch all 6 parts before we come on the air next week, but we'll watch some of it, and we'll give you some thoughts on the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary. And hopefully, Kyle's back, cooperates, and he's back with me in studio so he could try this BA Sweeties candy that is here.
Listen, don't threaten me with the time.
Kyle, thanks for hanging in there, buddy. Get well. We'll see you this weekend for football. Again, follow us, Side Hustle Podcast, 216 on YouTube, all of our social media platforms. Again, special thanks to all of you for watching, and special thanks to BA Sweeties and Mike from State Farm for helping us, sponsoring our program, and thank you all for your support. For all of us here, whether here in studio, for Pete, for everyone, for Kyle, hanging back at Club Cornell, Double A Anthony Alfred signing off, and we'll see you guys next week.